Hey, John here. How's it going? See the World Cup T-shirt? My son and I have one each, and sometimes we wear it on the same day. So John here again for our Yan.io assignment number 2, and that is, who am I serving? Well, a little background. I am a pastor at a local church here in Los Angeles, Young Knox Celebration Church. I've been there since January 2002, on staff since 2003. My wife and I are both licensed marriage and family therapists, so just a little background. And so that's the people I primarily serve and see on a regular basis. So there's people at church, and we go teach people in seminars and classes on basically relationship skills. What I would say is people get stuck in their relationships, and one of the primary things they get stuck in is emotional self-regulation or dysregulation. And that is one of the things that I've seen made a primary difference in our marriage. So I like to pass that on to others. I have mentors who have been tremendously helpful, and I share what we've learned and earned in our relationship skills, and we continue to pass it on. Primarily based, we learn about the brain, how the brain operates, and in relationship with others, it could be someone you're close to, family member, spouse, children, parents, co-workers, people you see regularly and daily, or that matter a lot to you, whether you want them to matter or not, they still impact your life greatly. And so what we want to do is we want to help people stay grounded, find out their core values, the values that matter to them the most. As a follower of Jesus, I would say those who, the way they reflect God's character. So the way I would say is I want to help anyone build good relationships. And I see Jesus as the primary model of what it means to be human. So anything less than him is something that I'm striving to be like. I want to be like him in the way he relates to people with kindness and strength and speaking truth with power and love. So that is my primary model, but I welcome any people with their primary models. But I will encourage people and challenge them to think, does who you are following, does who you are attaching yourself to produce the kind of fruit you want in your life? And people get stuck, and I want to help people become unstuck, to live a vibrant, fruitful, effective life, and that's primarily a rhythm of peace and joy. And those actually have neurological bases that come from Alan Shore, who is a brain scientist at UCLA, and he's tough to read, very detailed in the brain. Dan Siegel is someone who's at UCLA, makes it more easily understandable. And then Jim Wilder has studied them and adapted them for kind of everyday language and for churches and small groups and just all humans. And I've learned from Bill Gaultier and Edward Santana Grace. Those are some of my mentors. And probably the person who lives it out one of the most beautiful ways is my wife, Sungshim. So we want to make a difference in the world by first ourselves living out a life of joy and peace. Joy is the neurological sense that someone is glad to be with me. We're glad to do this together. I see that as a part of what we're doing here in the Yen community in the Bitcoin Pub. Peter and John do that. I would love to see more of John. I know he might be more quiet, although I see his videos and he's quite engaging. So Peter's a bit more out there in all the good ways and in all the ways. So that's who I am. And where people get stuck is when they're overwhelmed with anxiety or anger and they don't know what to do. They either try to shove it down, or they get frozen in it, or they get buried in their fear. And if they could learn to quiet, one of the favorite things that I like to do is teach people how to quiet themselves down so they know actually who they are and what they're thinking, to grow in awareness. Because the way Dan Siegel defines what mental health is, like in the ideal, what you're striving for is, it's a little philosophical, but it's integration of your body, your brain, your relationships, and that to integrate you have to differentiate the different parts, the people, the parts of yourself, and link them together in a healthy way. And quieting down is, I see, especially in the West, probably actually I just came from the East, Korea, and they're just as fast paced, rarely slow down. So learning how to quiet and slow down and quickly, and breathing is one of the ways to do that. And I would say one of the ways that I do it on a daily basis is the 4-7-8 method, where you breathe in for a count of 4, hold for a count of 7, and exhale for a count of 8. And it's very simple. You can do it discreetly, even if you're in a meeting when you're upset or can't stand someone in your family, in your meeting, you're upset, you just do 4-7-8. If you do it 4 times, that's often enough to reset your physiology, and then you can live out who you are to your core values and live by that, rather than just being reactive like an animal, but you can be more who you truly are. So those are some things, just a little sample and taste of how can we live in this rhythm of joy and peace. And peace, or shalom, is a sense that everything is, or you're moving towards working together in a calm, intentional, I'm trying to find just other language for it, intentional way that brings about good for everyone involved. So that is what I want to do. So if people who want to learn to build better relationships and live with more peace and joy in their lives, that's who I want to serve. I'm serving people like that already, and I would love to build a community of people who are seeking that way of life. I have practices, knowledge, and hard-earned wisdom, both through failure and following the wisdom of those who have gone before me. So I'm loving sharing it, and I would love to share it here. So take care. God bless. Bye-bye.